Welcome everybody to another episode of the Terrain Studio. I'm your host, Shawn Morris. Tonight on the Terrain Studio, I have for you a piece from the Steampunk table. This piece here shown before you is one of the gantry pieces. I just sort of dry fit this together. This is not necessarily an end result or an end configuration, but I did want to showcase what those pieces that I received in the package do and exactly the types of versatility that you can get with the pieces. So as you can see before you here, we have a design where we have a walkway here going down to a platform, and then it has a dual entry way here. So I'm going to slide this around. Again, it's not glued together, so I'm just going to be very ginger with it. Sort of give you a front-on profile here. So as you can see, the platforms here for the steps are quite big. They can accept a 25mm base, no problem. Here certainly you can almost fit a 40, I believe. It should fit pretty nicely. Admittedly, I have none of these bases, so I'm just waiting for the client to send some sample figures so I can sort of do some test fitting. Here you have the railings as well as the side railings up here on top. I'm just going to sort of rotate that around. So putting this together was pretty straightforward. It kind of just took a little bit of examination of the pieces, and once I figured out exactly what everything was for, it went together fairly smooth. I could start to see various things, various configurations, and a lot of possibilities. I'm a little concerned that some of the pieces might be a little bit on the high end, certainly these ones over here. In terms of height, I mean just a little high for the project that I have intended. And I'll let you know what I mean by showing you one of the wall pieces. So here we have a wall section, and the wall is going to sit about this high. So I have no problems with the gantry, the walkways coming above the wall height, but what I am slightly concerned with is that it goes over too high, and then we have an issue with it conflicting with the upper level. Considering the upper level is actually going to be right here, if we have a walkway going too high, it might prove to be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to have to consult with the client and see if he doesn't mind some sections popping above, and we kind of have that distorted sort of below ground look. So that's something I'm going to have to work my way around. I don't think it's going to prove too difficult in terms of cutting it down. So if I wanted to cut maybe one level of this off, I think I could get away with gluing that in here. It just might not fit exactly as intended. I might actually have to remove a central section, leaving the tabs at the top and the bottom, and just kind of see what that gives me. But ultimately it'll be a discussion I have with the customer and just kind of see what we want to go with in terms of overall heights. Certainly these sections here are under the wall height, which really helps out. But I'm not going to let that stop me too much. I knew that these weren't custom cut to the table, so I knew that there would be some modifications required. But overall, I'm really pleased with the look and sort of the design of this. So I think it's something we can work around. And like I said, we have that sort of that distorted look. So perhaps we could consider this being the wall height, but then this sort of elevating into the ceiling. Or perhaps what I could do is build a section with double wall panels, something along the lines of. Just grab a second wall panel here and show you what I mean. So if we went with a second wall panel, then suddenly we've addressed that concern altogether. That is going to give a completely distorted look to the upper elevation, but that again is something that I'll have to address with the customer and sort of see what we want to do in terms of getting around that. So again, there's the double wall height there. So that aside, I just wanted to have a look at some of the pieces and just kind of show you the ease of configuring the sections that are before you here. So the base plate right here looks like this. And as you can see, it's got sort of the tab design here, and it's got a nice footprint, so it gives you a nice structure, a nice stable structure. These are the sort of upright supports, and what they do is they sort of just tab into that. So as you can see, the design's pretty nicely slotted. everything's got a snug fit, but at the same time, it's there you go. At the same time, it still is easy to pop out. Again, this is just being dry fitted. So what happens with these after you get them in? They go up to the walkways. The walkways are these, so they're a little smaller than the 2-inch tiles, but and they're linked together, so there's 3 of them. And as you can see, they got the tab design here, and that accepts this upper part. See if I can do this on camera here. Watch me fumble around here for a second or two. Not going to dedicate too much time to it since it's pretty straightforward, but if I can get it, it'll make demonstration purposes a little bit easier. So, and these are a little more tight fitting than, here we go. So then you just got to give it a firm press. There we go. So there is the walkway. So as I was saying, if I do need to cut this down at all, it may be a case of just removing, you know, this to this, or even cutting this hexagon in half and this hexagon in half, and then dropping the entire middle section down. I can put a little support in the back. Then I'm not going to take away from the overall look. I'm not taking away from the top tab or the bottom tab. Basically just shrinking it down. So that would take away, you know, about half the height, which would then put it below wall level, which may be the ideal design. Maybe getting this right at wall level to not distort the height too much. And I think that may be what I'm going to go with. Again, there's not going to be a ton of these, so it's not going to be a huge modification, but just something that design, when I was looking at it, I noticed in the design there's a lot of symmetry, and where there's a lot of symmetry, that means that there can be a lot of modifications. It's not like it's a one-off, like for example, this wall section right here. It would be very difficult to, you know, start removing large sections of the wall and then condensing it together, because you have a lot of this circular pattern here. Now the ones with the squiggly spaghetti lines everywhere, that'd be a lot easier to cut and bring it together. Even if the lines don't match up, the eye is not going to pick up any of that sort of stuff. So you got to consider symmetry when you're building things like this, and that goes for more organic landscapes as well. You know, shrubbery and grass and things like that. You have to see what works good, and if you have to trick the eye, then there's lots of ways to do that, especially when it comes to seams. But I guess that'd be topic for another video. So anyways, getting back to this. We have the upper platform now. The next thing you want to do is you want to attach the handrails. Certainly the handrails are not required, so if you want to go with something without handrail or sections of, you can certainly do that. But the handrails themselves, they come just as the elongated piece here, and then there is these little guide and sort of rail guards, and they look like this. Now these do fit quite a bit more snug, and I can try to do this on camera here as best I can, but they snap in there and they're really, really tight. So I'm going to suggest maybe I'm going to have to do a little sanding when I put these on, but there we go. But it's a nice tight fit. So there you have your railings, and again, those are seen up here. What they do then is they then slot into the side of the gantry, and you sort of just they have a little indicator tab on the side, so that just slides right in there. There's your railing. So as you can see, the models aren't going to slip below there. At the same time, it does give them some nice height, and whatever, for whatever reason you want to use it for concealment, or you know, just a soft cover, or whatever you want to use it for. Just the aesthetics are really nice. One goes on this side, obviously, but I'm not going to put that on just so we can have a more open view. Next is putting on the steps going down to a landing. I'm just going to show you roughly how that looks. So the step pieces attach there, going down, and on the other side as well. I'm just going to take that back off for a second. The steps themselves are individual, so they're kind of neat in their pattern. They got like sort of the treaded pattern here, and then it's got the cutaway to match the top part there. These are a little finicky because they really do require glue to stay in, but again, they have the tab. You slide it in, and they have a little slot on the step. It's very hard to see, but it's It's that tab and that tab right there. And what you do is you find the receiving piece on there. Okay, slide the next one in. As you work your way up, the ones below try to slide out, but see if I can get a couple in here anyways. I think I only brought 3 over, but I think that's all I need for this section. Again, sliding these right in. Kind of the story while I'm fiddling with this is when I got them today, they actually came packed in an envelope. They were the kind of the leftover pieces that just wouldn't get in the box, and that's my fault because I kept requesting a few extra pieces. So they just came in an envelope, and they were all just laying loose in the envelope. It was a bubbler, but they just all came, and I just sort of dumped them out on the table in this big, huge mass, which probably wasn't the best idea since I had no idea what any pieces did. But eventually I sorted them all out. I just played the matching game, matched everything up. But surprisingly enough, all the stuff that was completely loose had not a single broken piece. I mean, I've shipped models wrapped in bubble wrap with tissue laced inside of another bubble wrap with packing peanuts with fragile stickers, and then had them all busted up for whatever reason. So I don't think it's a case of packing error. I think it's a case of handling error, but that's for another story. So certainly there is poor ways to pack, and I'm not saying these were poorly packed. I'm just, for the way they were and being wood and just sort of the way I know they handle mail up here, not surprised, or I am very surprised that nothing was broken. So there we have the step more or less laid on there. I think I got one a little crooked, but it'll work for the dry fit here. So what happens next is you bring it down from the platform. Let's see if I can. Oh, you know what? I think I have that upside down. Or do I? No, I think I had it right. So you tab that onto here. Again, just give it a press if it's not fitting. There we go. And then that steps down to your next level. And your next level will be something like this right here. I only have, I think I have one or maybe another one of those upstairs. But so that goes down to the next platform. So again, what I basically just constructed was a mirror image of that. The railings themselves, they're kind of unique in that they slot right into, sorry, it's a little shadowy there. My hands are in the way of the lights. Just sort of tabs into the side of the steps. So it's another reinforcer for holding the steps on. So there you go, they sort of tab right in. And then there's little teeny tabs that fit in between for the steps that don't have the railing. So it's really, everything's been thought of in terms of design. So, and once, I mean, like I said, it's just going to be kind of a spray with some, you know, some rust here and there. And it's going to be more or less a kind of monochromatic look. But I think the effect will be achieved. So like I said, if I was using this, you know, maybe this could be exactly, this maybe could reach out and go over top of, over something, maybe, you know, to access, you know, a tall object of some sort, or even getting from a lower platform up to the, you know, the top level or something like that. So certainly there's lots of unique ways to use this and configure it. So as I do the build, you guys will certainly see all those things coming out, and I'm sure I'll switch some ideas along the way as I get more intimate with working with these, you know, get to know the ins and outs of the product and kind of what it can do and what it can't do. So look forward to that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed sort of having a look at some of these pieces, and hope you guys stay tuned for what's coming up next in the TheTerrainStudio. So I think just a preview, I think the next up I have another product review. I had a couple Battlefront products this week, and then I think I'll get back to the Back to Basics products. I got a couple more, and I think I have some buildings on the way, so I'm expecting another couple packages, so you guys will definitely see some unboxing. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day or afternoon wherever you guys are, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.